Success is not luck. It is law. They told you success was random. They told you some people were chosen, and others were not. They told you wealth, power, confidence, and freedom belonged to a different class of human being. That was the first lie. Nothing in this universe operates on chance. Not the rising of the sun. Not the pull of the tide. Not the beating of your heart while you sleep. Everything moves by law. Seen or unseen. Known or ignored. Obeyed or violated. And success is no different. Success is not luck. It is law. If you have struggled, it is not because you are cursed. If you have failed, it is not because you are broken. If you feel behind, it is not because life skipped your name. It is because laws do not bend for emotion. They do not care about excuses. They do not respond to wishing. Fire burns whether you believe in it or not. Gravity pulls whether you respect it or not. And the laws of success respond the same way. You can ignore them, and they will punish you. You can learn them, and they will reward you without mercy. Most people live their entire lives begging the universe for mercy. The disciplined mind asks for none. It studies the rules and uses them. Look back through history and you will see the same pattern repeating again and again. Different faces. Different eras. Same invisible framework. The men and women who rose from nothing did not wait for permission. They aligned themselves with principle. Thomas Edison was not lucky. He failed publicly, repeatedly, until the world laughed at him. But while others counted his defeats, he was studying cause and effect. He understood something the crowd did not. Failure was feedback. Persistence was law. Andrew Carnegie arrived with nothing but clarity. He knew exactly what he wanted, and he organized his entire life around that single vision. Not around comfort. Not around approval. Around purpose. The world does not reward need. It responds to alignment. Most people drift. They wake up without intention, move without direction, think without discipline, and then wonder why life feels chaotic. Chaos is not cruelty. It is the natural outcome of an undirected mind. Your mind is not a passive observer of reality. It is the command center. What you consistently think about, you begin to notice. What you notice, you act upon. What you act upon, you become. This is not philosophy. This is mechanics. Every achievement you admire began as a thought held long enough to become belief. Every empire, every invention, every movement started in the invisible world before it ever showed up in the visible one. And here is the uncomfortable truth most people never face. Your results are loyal to your beliefs, not your desires. You may say you want success, but if you secretly believe you are not worthy of it, the law will obey the belief. You may say you want wealth, but if you believe money corrupts or escapes you, the law will confirm that story. You may say you want freedom, but if your identity is built on fear, comfort, and approval, the law will keep you trapped. The law is not judging you. It is reflecting you. This is why two people can face the same circumstances and produce opposite outcomes. One sees an obstacle and stops. The other sees a signal and sharpens. Same world. Same pressure. Different inner command. Henry Ford was told his vision was impossible. Engineers laughed. Experts shook their heads. But Ford understood something timeless. When belief is anchored deeply enough, the mind organizes resources automatically. Ideas appear. People align. Paths open. Not because the world suddenly becomes kind, but because the law responds to clarity. Confusion breeds delay. Clarity breeds power. Most people are not lacking talent. They are lacking decision. They keep one foot in belief and one foot in doubt, and the law gives them exactly what that deserves. Inconsistent results. The moment you decide, truly decide, something changes. Not outside first. Inside. Your posture shifts. Your tolerance drops. Your excuses lose their grip. You stop negotiating with weakness. That is when momentum begins. But decision alone is not enough. The law demands payment. It demands discipline when motivation disappears. It demands action when fear speaks loudest. It demands faith when evidence is absent. This is where most people turn back. They want proof before commitment. The law requires commitment before proof. That is the dividing line between the ordinary and the unstoppable. The ordinary wait to feel ready. The unstoppable act until they become ready. And once you understand this, truly understand it, you can never unsee it. You will notice how life tests you, not to punish you, but to measure your alignment. Every delay, every obstacle, every closed door is asking a single question. How serious are you? Not in words. In behavior. Because the law listens to behavior. I'll continue seamlessly in the next chunk, deepening into belief, vision, discipline, and the inner architecture of unstoppable success. The law listens to behavior. It does not respond to what you post, what you promise, or what you tell yourself late at night to feel better. It responds to what you do when no one is watching. It responds to your habits, your focus, your standards, your private choices. That is where destiny is shaped. Most people want a breakthrough without a breakdown of their old identity. They want a new life while protecting the comfort of the old one. But transformation does not negotiate. It replaces. This is why so many people stay stuck at the edge of potential. They flirt with growth, study success, admire discipline, quote wisdom, but never cross the line where comfort dies. The law does not reward admiration. It rewards embodiment. Look at the pattern again. Abraham Lincoln lost again and again. Elections. Business ventures. Public reputation. Each failure would have ended an ordinary man. But Lincoln was not moving for applause. He was anchored to purpose. And purpose gives you endurance that motivation never will. Purpose turns pain into fuel. When you know why you are here, setbacks stop feeling personal. They become part of the process. Pressure stops feeling like punishment and starts feeling like preparation. You stop asking, why is this happening to me, and start asking, what is this building in me? That shift alone separates leaders from followers. Your mind is either a weapon or a prison. There is no neutral setting. Every thought you allow is either strengthening your future or stealing from it. This is why mental discipline is not optional. It is foundational. Uncontrolled thoughts create uncontrolled outcomes. The average person lets the world program their mind. News. Opinions. Fear. Comparison. Noise. Then they wonder why their inner world feels crowded and weak. You cannot build a powerful life with a distracted mind. The law demands focus. Walt Disney was fired for lacking imagination. Laughed at. Bankrupt. Betrayed by partners. Yet he held a vision so vivid it outlived him. He saw worlds before they existed. And because he held them with clarity, reality eventually had no choice but to follow. Vision is not daydreaming. Vision is decision projected into the future. When you see clearly, you move differently. You say no faster. You waste less energy. You endure more. Clarity simplifies pain. This is why the law favors those who decide early what they stand for and what they will no longer tolerate. Standards are not limits. They are filters. They remove chaos. They attract alignment. Raise your standards, and your life is forced to follow. But understand this. The law will test every standard you set. The moment you decide to live with discipline, temptation will appear. The moment you commit to growth, resistance will rise. This is not coincidence. It is confirmation. Pressure reveals whether your commitment is real. Discipline is not punishment. It is self-respect in action. It is choosing long-term power over short-term comfort. Every disciplined act is a vote for the person you are becoming. Every undisciplined act is a vote for the life you claim to hate. You are voting every day. And the law is counting. This is where gratitude enters, not as politeness, but as power. Gratitude sharpens awareness. It trains the mind to see opportunity instead of lack. The grateful mind does not beg. It builds. It moves from strength, not desperation. Gratitude does not mean you settle. It means you recognize momentum while you are creating more. Adaptability is another law most people ignore. The world changes. Markets shift. Paths collapse. The rigid break. The flexible rise. Holding on to a method is weakness. Holding on to a mission is strength. The law rewards those who can bend without losing direction. Every setback carries instruction. Every failure contains refinement. If you are willing to learn instead of complain, nothing is wasted. If you refuse to learn, nothing changes. This is why resilience is not toughness. It is intelligence under pressure. It is the ability to extract meaning from difficulty and turn it into leverage. You are not here to survive. You are here to master. And mastery is earned in repetition. In showing up again. In choosing effort when enthusiasm fades. In trusting the process when results lag behind work. The law never forgets effort. It compounds it. Most people quit too early because they measure progress emotionally. The disciplined measure it lawfully. Seed, time, growth, harvest. Always in that order. Never reversed. If you rush the process, you violate the law. If you respect it, the law accelerates you. And when it finally moves, it moves fast. I'll continue without pause in the next chunk, driving this toward its highest emotional and philosophical peak. When it finally moves, it moves fast. What looks like overnight success is usually years of obedience to invisible law. Quiet mornings. Lonely decisions. Uncelebrated discipline. The world only sees the harvest. It never sees the seasons of doubt you survive to earn it. This is where most people misjudge reality. They compare your visible results to their hidden effort. They do not see the nights you chose growth over comfort. They do not feel the weight of consistency when motivation disappeared. They do not hear the internal battles you won in silence. And yet, the law saw everything. Nothing you do in alignment is ever wasted. Not a single focused hour. Not a single disciplined choice. Not a single moment you chose courage over fear. The law stores momentum like energy in a compressed spring. And when release comes, it looks like magic to those who did not put in the work. This is why patience is not passive. It is active trust in principle. Impatience is a sign of doubt. It is the mind questioning the law. But the law does not need reassurance. It needs obedience. The moment you stop rushing and start refining, everything sharpens. Your actions become cleaner. Your thoughts more precise. Your identity more solid. You stop chasing outcomes and start becoming the kind of person outcomes are attracted to. Because success does not chase people. It responds to them. This is the truth about wealth most never understand. Money is not the goal. It is the echo. It is the shadow cast by value, discipline, and contribution. When you focus only on the shadow, it runs. When you focus on the source, it follows. Ask yourself honestly. Are you building skill or just chasing reward? Are you developing character or just demanding results? The law answers those questions faster than words ever could. Self-mastery is the highest leverage available to a human being. When you control your reactions, your habits, your focus, you remove randomness from your life. You stop being at the mercy of mood, opinion, and circumstance. You become dangerous in the best way. This is why the disciplined mind scares the undisciplined. It exposes excuses without speaking. It proves that limitation was never external. Only tolerated. Once you see this, blame loses its power. Complaints sound empty. You realize that every area of your life is either a reflection of standards or the absence of them. And that realization is freedom. Freedom is not doing whatever you want. That is chaos. Freedom is having the strength to do what is required. To say no when it is easier to say yes. To stay when it is easier to quit. To lead yourself when no one is watching. The law rewards leadership of self before leadership of others. This is why clarity of purpose matters so deeply. When you know what you are building, sacrifice stops feeling like loss. It feels like investment. You stop asking what you can get today and start asking who you are becoming long-term. That shift changes everything. You stop reacting. You start directing. And direction turns time into an ally. Every day begins to stack instead of scatter. Momentum becomes predictable. Confidence becomes grounded, not emotional. You trust yourself because you have evidence. You kept promises. You honored standards. You acted even when it was uncomfortable. Trust in self is earned, not affirmed. This is the final misunderstanding that keeps people stuck. They try to think their way into confidence. Confidence is built through action aligned with principle. The law does not respond to affirmations alone. It responds to alignment. When thought, belief, and action point in the same direction, resistance collapses. Life stops feeling heavy. Not because it is easier, but because you are stronger. You no longer ask if you can handle it. You know you can. And here is the quiet truth at the center of it all. You were never behind. You were never unlucky. You were never excluded. You were simply unaligned. But alignment is a choice. Available now. In this moment. Not tomorrow. Not when conditions improve. Not when fear disappears. Fear never disappears. It is replaced. Replaced by commitment. Replaced by clarity. Replaced by respect for law. Make the decision. Not emotionally. Structurally. Decide who you are. Decide what you stand for. Decide what you will no longer tolerate. Then let your behavior prove it. The law will do the rest. Because success is not luck. It never was. It is law.